We begin today the Gemara on Daf Yudalad Amud Beis at the Mishnah. Zog the Heilige Mishnah. Kainam sha'ani yashon. A person says that my sleep should be like a carbon, meaning like a carbon that's aser, so too I should not be allowed to sleep. So he says sha'ani yashon. Some are going to say she'eni yashon, that I won't sleep, but the Ran says to be good is sha'ani yashon, that I will sleep. Shani medaber, or regarding me speaking, that he makes a neder that he should not speak. Shani mahalach, or that I should go and walk somewhere. Or ha'ayme le'isha, or some agayis ha'ayme le'ishta. A person says to his wife, kainam sha'ani mishamshech, that it's also for me to have marital relations with you. So in all these cases, harezeh b'lo yachol dvarai. He may not desecrate the neder he made. In other words, the neder takes effect. Okay, so there's an obvious question on this Mishnah based on what we learned before in the Gemara a few times, that a neder could only take effect regarding an object. You can't make a neder regarding something that's not tangible. A shvuah that you make upon yourself, that you're asking yourself to do something, so then you can make it regarding something which is tangible, something which is not. But not a neder. So how's he making a neder regarding sleep or regarding talking or walking? So the Gemara will address this. But before the Gemara brings and explains this, the Gemara starts with a machlokes amoraim regarding a person that makes a neder on a sleep, with a condition, as we'll see. Zok the Gemara itmer. So we learned the following machlokes. Kainim eini b'shina yayim. A person says, I aser my eyes like a carbon to sleep today, but with the following condition. I'm not going to sleep today im ishan lamachar, on the condition that I'm going to sleep tomorrow. So what does that mean? If he ends up sleeping tomorrow, if he's going to sleep today, and then he ends up sleeping tomorrow, then retroactively yesterday he was over on his neder. If he sleeps today but he doesn't end up sleeping tomorrow, then it's not a problem, because the condition of the neder was only if he sleeps tomorrow. So Amar Rav Yehuda Amar Rav Amar Rav said, what happens in such a case? Al yoshan hayom. He actually should not sleep today, even though he may not be over on his neder by sleeping today, but we say, Shema Yashan Lamachar, maybe tomorrow you'll end up sleeping and then it's going to come out that retroactively you are over on your neder, that you slept yesterday. So therefore Chachamim said, do not sleep today. Rav Nachman says, Yashan Hayom, he's allowed to sleep today, even though he made a neder not to sleep today, but he's allowed to sleep today, because we don't know if he's going to sleep tomorrow. And we're not concerned that maybe he'll sleep tomorrow and then retroactively he was over on his neder. We're not concerned about that.
So what's his neder?
His neder is not to sleep today.
Right.
But there's a condition though. In condition that he sleeps tomorrow. So if he does not sleep tomorrow, then there's no problem of sleep today. So therefore Rav Nachman says, we're not concerned that he's going to end up sleeping tomorrow, and therefore he's allowed to go and sleep today. He's not over on his neder. So the Gemara, this idea here, that we're concerned that he's going to go to sleep tomorrow. Now, Rav Yehuda is not always concerned about this. However, Rav Yehuda would be maide that if the person made this kind of a neder, but he sort of made it in the reverse, and that is, ba'omer, what he said is, kainim eini b'shina lemachar. He says, tomorrow, I make a neder that it should be also for me to sleep tomorrow. Im ishan hayom. In the case that I'm going to sleep today. So it's the same kind of a neder, but it's in the reverse. Before we were talking about a case where the neder is today and the t'nai, the condition, is tomorrow. Over here it's the other way around. Over here the t'nai is today and the neder, the isser of the neder, is tomorrow. So in such a case, Rav Yehuda will agree sheyashan hayom, that he could sleep today, and we're not concerned that he's going to end up sleeping tomorrow. Why is that? Ki loy mizdaer b'tno. When are we concerned that a person is not careful regarding the t'nai? If his t'nai was tomorrow, so because tomorrow is only a t'nai, so the next day he might not be so careful and he's going to end up sleeping. He's going to say to himself, sleeping now is only a t'nai. So he might sleep today, but then it's going to come out that retroactively the day before he slept and he was over on his neder. If a person says, today, the condition is that I don't sleep today, and then the isser is not to sleep tomorrow, so then he's allowed to sleep today. And we're not concerned that tomorrow he's going to go to sleep, because tomorrow, that's the actual neder, that he shouldn't sleep then. So we're not concerned that he's going to go to sleep. And then it's a isser, and that a person is more careful with. Even though technically, it's no difference. In the end of the day, either way is going to be over the Isser. But that's the way the mind works. So psychologically, a person's thinking, if right now this is the Isser, this is the Neder, he's more careful. But if this is only the condition, so then he won't be so careful. Therefore, according to Rav Yehuda, Chachamim said, do not sleep the day before, because you might end up sleeping tomorrow. Okay, now the Gemara comes to our Mishnah. And the Gemara is going to go through a few different ways of how we understand the Mishnah, and it's going to basically reject all different ways until it's going to come to this case over here that Rav Yehuda and Rav Nachman were arguing about. So tonight, what did we learn in our Mishnah? Koinam shani yoshan. Person says, I make a neder not to sleep, or shani mahalach, not to walk, shani medaber, not to speak, v'chulu. And the Mishnah says that the neder takes effect. So the question is, heichi dami, what is the case our Mishnah is speaking about? If you're going to learn the Mishnah literally as it says, sha'ani yoshan, then he makes a neder not to sleep. Miyav nidra. Does a neder take effect? It's not a neder regarding an object, something tangible. V'atnan, we learned in the Mishnah, or it's supposed to be v'atanya, we learned in the Braisa, chayme b'shvuis. There is a stringency in a shvua that's more than a neder. Sha'ashvuis chalois, that a person swears, it takes effect. Al davar sheyesh bei mamish, something that's tangible. Al davar she'en bei mamish, and something that's not an object. Just an action, not to do something. Because the shvu is on you, that you're asking yourself to do it. So it can take effect either way. Mashenkin ben Nedarim, which is not the case when it comes to the Nedarim, that it only take effect if it's an object that you're asking. So the question is, Vishina davishem be'mamishu. Sleep, or for the same matter, to walk or to talk, is not an object. So what is the neder taking effect on when a person says this? How could the Mishnah say that the neder took effect? Okay, now the Ran explains the reason why the Gemara is bringing this up here after it brought the previous machlokes between Rav Yehuda and Rav Nachman. If we were to say that our Mishnah is telling you a chiddush here, that the neder could take effect even though it's not something tangible, then I would say this is actually the chiddush of the Mishnah. And that's it. And that would be the pshat of our Mishnah, and therefore our Mishnah has nothing to do with the machlokes that we spoke about before between Rav Yehuda and Rav Nachman. But the Gemara is telling you this cannot be the chiddush of the Mishnah because this is just not true. A neder will not take effect if it's not something tangible. And as I said, the Gemara is going to try a few different things, and it's going to gate various different chidushim that you may think the Mishnah is saying, and it's going to show how they can't be, and therefore it's going to come down to this case that Rav Yehuda and Rav Nachman are speaking about. So the Gemara says we have to say, what is our Mishnah speaking about? The person said, Kainim eini b'shina. He is asering an object. And what is the object? His eyes. He's saying, my eyes should not be allowed to close when I sleep. So it's the eyes that's the object of the neder. And that is what the neder is. So there's no chiddush over here in this sense. It's a regular neder that you're asering your eyes, or you're asering your mouth, or you're asering your feet. That's the object. Like we had in the Gemara before, in the end of the previous parak, the Gemara said the same thing. But now the Gemara addresses another point that maybe there's the chiddush of our Mishnah. Now, v'idul lo yoev shiyura. Specifically regarding sleep. If a person says, I make a neder that my eyes should not sleep. If the person says this indefinitely, I'm not going to sleep. Doesn't give any amount of time for this. So maybe that's the chiddush of the Mishnah. Could a person not sleep indefinitely? No. So how does this neder take effect? Maybe that was the chiddush of our Mishnah, that nevertheless the neder takes effect. Says the Gemara, but that's not true. Do we allow a person to make such a neder ad over isa bal yachel, and then what's going to eventually happen? He can't not sleep forever, so he's going to be over the isser. Do we allow a person to do such a thing? But Rabbi Yechanan said, here we're talking about a neder, but Rabbi Yechanan said a similar thing regarding a shvua. When a person says shvua shaloi ishan, person makes a shvua that he will not sleep for shloisha yom, 3 days. What happens? Malkin Noisei, immediately we give him Malchus. Why are we giving him Malchus? Because he made a shvua. This was called a shvua shav. You made a shvua of something that's impossible. So the Isra of shvua shav, one of the examples of a shvua shav is, let's say a person says about a rock, this rock is gold. It's not true. It's hepech emes. Same thing here. A person makes a shvua, I will not sleep for 3 days. It's impossible for a human being not to sleep for 3 days. And therefore, Malkin Noisei, we give him Malchus for making a shvua shav, and the Yashal altar. And he's allowed to go to sleep immediately because the shvua he made did not take effect. Similar regarding a neder. By a neder, there's no concept of shvua, of neder shav. He's not going to get malchus right away, but by a neder as well, because it's impossible, the neder will not take effect. So that can't be what the Mishnah is speaking about, that a person is not going to sleep indefinitely.
What do you give him malchus for?
For the shvua shav.
Why is shvua shav? Not shvua at all.
No. But he said, he made a shvuah that I can sleep, that I'm not going to sleep forever. But that's not true though. He accepted it upon himself.
So it's not a shvuah.
No, but he said it though. He did say it though. He took the shvuah that I will not sleep forever. So therefore he's saying a shav. It's a shvuah shav. Ella, says the Gemara, what must be the case over here? The Amar kainim eini b'shina. What he's saying is that I'm not going to sleep l'machar, tomorrow. Im ishana yom. If I'm going to sleep today. So he's saying it with a condition that when is the neder? The isser is that he's not going to sleep tomorrow. With a tanai, if he did not sleep today. Okay, now just to explain why the Gemara jumps to this case, why can't the Gemara simply say that the case is that he made a neder that I'm not going to sleep today? What was our problem? That he made a neder indefinitely, so it doesn't take effect. So the Gemara could have just simply answered, he made a neder that my eyes will not sleep today. So the neder should take effect. So the Ran says there's no chiddush in that. Obviously the neder takes effect. It already said in the previous Mishnah, a person says the fact that he made a neder and the object of the neder is his eyes, that he will not sleep today, it's obvious that the neder should take effect. There'd be no chiddush. The main point that our Gemara is going through all these things is because the Gemara is trying to figure out what is the chiddush of our Mishnah. Maybe the chiddush of our Mishnah was you can make a neder even on something that's not tangible. That can't be. Maybe the chiddush is that he can make a neder even to not sleep indefinitely. That can't be. So now, if you're just going to simply say he made a neder that I will not sleep today, there's absolutely no chiddush in that. So Elamai the Gemara says, what is the Mishnah speaking about? A person is saying, Kainim eini b'shina l'machar, I'm not going to sleep tomorrow. Im ishana yom, if I'm going to sleep today. And then, so what's the point? What are we saying over here? That the Mishnah is saying, be careful of bal yachal devare. What the Mishnah is saying is, don't go to sleep today, because then tomorrow you might be over the neder. And the Ran actually explains that's what the Mishnah means when the Mishnah says Harei zeh b'lo yachal devarai. This is a very unusual lashon of the Mishnah. Usually, when the Mishnah says that the neder takes effect, what does the Mishnah just say? Aser. It doesn't say Harei zeh b'lo yachal devarai. Why is the Mishnah saying that? Because what the Mishnah is saying is that even though your neder is only about not sleeping tomorrow, but because it's on the condition that you don't sleep today, be careful not to sleep today because you may come to be over the lav tomorrow. So it's not also for you not to sleep today, but don't sleep today because then you might come to be over tomorrow. Maybe that's what the Mishnah is saying here. But the Gemara says, in such a case, when the Isser is not to sleep tomorrow, everybody agrees that you're allowed to sleep today. Because Ha'amrit, we said before, Kol B'Yisurei Mizdar. That if you said that I'm not going to sleep tomorrow, that's the actual neder, and the T'nai is not to sleep today, so then there's no reason for you to be careful not to sleep today because you may come to sleep tomorrow because no, the person will be careful not to sleep tomorrow. So then how can we say that's what our Mishnah is saying? Don't sleep today because you might come to sleep tomorrow. If tomorrow is the neder, the person will be careful with that. Ella, says the Gemara, so after all of this, what do we come to? What's the pshat in our Mishnah? Pshita, so then it's obvious that the only way we could understand our Mishnah is, and what would be the chiddush of a Mishnah, the case that Rav Nachman and Rav Yehuda were arguing about. He said, Kainim eini b'shina yom. The neder is not to sleep today. And the condition is, im yishon l'machar, if I sleep tomorrow. That's what the neder is. So now, the question is, v'i loy nayim hayom, if this person did not go to sleep today, right? So today is the Isser. And tomorrow is the T'nai. Now, if he did not go to sleep today, kinayim l'machar, if he's going to go to sleep tomorrow, my bal yachal devarei yikeh. There is no bal yachal devarei because he did not sleep today. What's the Mishnah saying? That he's going to come to be over bal yachal devarei. So it sounds like what the Mishnah is saying is that you can go to sleep today, but now you have to be careful with sleeping tomorrow, because if you're going to sleep tomorrow, now you fulfill the condition of the neder, and you're going to be over on bal yachal devarei by the fact that you went to sleep today. So what do you see over here? Elolav, the pshat in the Mishnah is b'denayim. He went to sleep today. And then what the Mishnah is saying is, if you already went to sleep today, and this was your neder, now be careful not to go to sleep tomorrow, because if you're going to go to sleep tomorrow, that was the t'nai of your neder. And if you're going to sleep tomorrow, you fulfill the t'nai, retroactively you're going to be over in bal yachal devarei. So the Mishnah is actually saying, be careful not to go to sleep tomorrow after you went to sleep today. So if so, what I see from the Mishnah is Isei Denayim, that the person that makes this kind of a neder, again, his neder is not to sleep today. The t'nai is not to sleep tomorrow. What the Mishnah is saying is you're allowed to go to sleep today. And therefore it's telling you, be careful not to fulfill your t'nai tomorrow. So we see that we allow the person to go to sleep today. Not like Rav Yehuda said, that he should be careful not to go to sleep today, because he may then go to sleep tomorrow and fulfill the t'nai. So this refutes what Rav Yehuda said, that he may not go to sleep today. Answers the Gemara, no, actually we can say that the Mishnah is saying the exact opposite. Ki katani di'inayim. What the Mishnah is saying over here is, if he went to sleep today, adarabba, maybe when the Mishnah says, harezeh beval yachal devarei, the Mishnah is actually saying exactly what Rav Yehuda meant to say. The Mishnah is saying is, be careful not to go to sleep today, because if you're going to go to sleep today, then tomorrow, if you fulfill the condition of your neder and you go to sleep, you're going to end up being over on bal yachal devarei. So adarabba, the Gemara is saying over here that the Mishnah is actually telling me exactly what Rav Yehuda was saying. That even though right now, today, there's no issur for you to go to sleep, because you did not yet fulfill the condition of your neder, but if you're going to go to sleep today, you might end up fulfilling the condition of your neder tomorrow. So that's harei zeh v'al yachal devarei. Be careful not to sleep today, so you shouldn't come to sleep tomorrow, and then you are going to be over. So that's not a question on Rav Yehuda. Ravina says, let's go back to the first suggestion that we suggested to learn the pshat in the Mishnah. We don't have to go the whole shakla v'tayr. The Gemara went through it. Ravina says, let's learn la'olam kediktani. Let's learn the Mishnah literally the way the Mishnah says, which is that he makes a neder and there is no object to the neder. He didn't say my eyes should not sleep. He just simply said, I will not sleep. Now there's no object to the neder, and the neder should not take effect. That's what the Gemara asked before. Says the Gemara, oh my bal yachal. When the Mishnah says that he's over on bal yachal, what does the Mishnah mean? Midrabanan. The Mishnah means that he's only over on the bal yachal midrabanan. He's not over min hatayra. And the Ran says that that's actually the reason why the Mishnah uses this unusual lashon of harei zeh bil lo yachal devarei, because if it would be asa min hatayra, it would just simply say asa. It's saying bil lo yachal because it's telling you chachamim created an issa which is connected to the lav of below yachal devarei. But min hatayra does not take effect because there is no object to the issa. He just said, I will not sleep. He didn't say, my eyes will not sleep. So we can just go back to that original pshat, and that's the chiddush of the Mishnah. So it has nothing to do with this machlokes of Rav Yehuda and Rav Nachman. So the Gemara brings, and the Gemara asks, do we find such a concept? That is bal yachal midrabanan, that midrabanan there's a certain kind of a neder only midrabanan. Says Gemara yes, we find this. V'hatanya, as we learned in the Braisa, dvarim amutarim. If there are things that are mutter, but v'acherim nogu ben isser, but other people have a minig that they keep an isser for this. You're not allowed to be mevatel their minig and to tell them that it's mutter for them. Shenemar lo yachal devarei, because the Torah says lo yachal devarei, do not desecrate your words. Now, obviously, in such a case, when someone has a minig that he does something which is aser, there's no actual ism in Torah. He didn't accept upon himself a proper neder. But midrabanan, once you have a certain minig, it becomes like an iser, and it's ism midrabanan, and therefore la yachal devarei. He should not desecrate his neder. So here you see there's such a thing, and not only that, you see that the Tana in this Braisa uses the term la yachal devarei, and it only means la yachal devarei midrabanan. Okay, the Gemara now brings from another Mishnah later in the Masechta a raya to, or a question on what Rav Yehuda said. Again, what did Rav Yehuda say? If Rav Yehuda says that I make a neder today, and then the neder that he made today is contingent upon a condition tomorrow. I'm not going to sleep today. Condition is that I won't sleep tomorrow. So Rav Yehuda says, be careful not to sleep today, because you might come to sleep tomorrow. So here in this Mishnah, we're going to see that the chayre there is no isit. Nan, the Mishnah says, Sha'at nanesli ada Pesach. A person makes a neder that his wife should not be allowed to have hana from him until Pesach. So let's say right now it's between Sukkot and Pesach. It's sometime between Sukkot and Pesach, and he tells his wife that I'm making a neder that it'll be also for you to have hana from me until Pesach. Now he makes a condition to his neder. What's the condition? Im telchi lebeis avicha ad hachag. If you end up going to your father's house until the following year Sukkot. So basically he's saying to her, I don't want you to go to your father's house almost the whole year, till the next year Sukkot. And if you end up going till Sukkot, so then you won't be allowed to have anor from me until Pesach. So the Mishnah says, what happens? Holcha lifnei Pesach, if she already went before Pesach to her father's house, then asura ba'ano osoi ada Pesach. Then she will not be allowed to have anor from her husband until Pesach. Okay, so what do you see over here in this Mishnah? If she had already fulfilled that condition, she already went to her father's house before, so the condition of the neder is fulfilled. So now the neder takes effect, and she may not have a no from her husband. So the Gemara says, only if the condition was already fulfilled, so then she's not allowed to have a no from her husband, asura. Then she's also, but if the condition of the neder was not fulfilled yet, she could have a no from her husband. But now, according to Rabbi Yehuda, she should not be allowed to have a no from her husband, because maybe in the future, after Pesach, she will end up fulfilling her condition and going to her husband's house. Just like Rabbi Yehuda says, that if you make the father's house, that is, just like regarding a person that makes a condition not to sleep tomorrow, that's the condition of his neder that he made, not to sleep today. So we say you're not allowed to sleep today because you may end up sleeping tomorrow. We should say the same thing over here. She should not be allowed to have a no from her husband until Pesach, because she may end up fulfilling the condition later and going to her husband's house. So why does the Mishnah say only if she already fulfilled the condition is she going to be aser? So Rabbi says, what the Mishnah is saying there is as follows. If she already fulfilled the condition and went to her father's house before Pesach, so now she fulfilled the condition. Asura vilaike. So now it's going to be also for her to have a no from her husband. The neder already took effect, and she gets malchus if she has a no from her husband. If she did not yet go to her father's house, so then she will not be allowed to have a no from her husband. Like Rav Yehuda said, we're concerned that she may come to fulfill her tonight later, but asura ba'alma. But that's only a ism d'Rabbanan. That's not a ism in Atayra. That's how you have to learn pshat in that Mishnah. We're not being medayek from the Mishnah that she'll be permitted to have a no from her husband. It'll be asa, but only a ism d'Rabbanan. So the Gemara, what does it say in the Sefer of that Mishnah? Achara Pesach b'val yachal devarai. That after Pesach, if she went after Pesach to her father's house, then b'val yachal devarai. Then she's going to be over on her neder. Retroactively, she's going to be over on her neder, because now she fulfilled the conditions. So now, if she had a no from her husband before, what? Yeah, it's his neder, correct. So now he's going to be over. That is, he's going to be over retroactively on this neder. Okay, the Ran actually he speaks about this. Who's over on the neder? Is he over? Is she over? But okay, he's over on this neder. Again, the point is, if she fulfilled the condition and she went afterwards, so now retroactively he's over on this neder that she had a no from him. Now v'id lo yishani lifnei Pesach. But according to Rav Yehuda, she's not allowed to have a no from him before Pesach. She has to be careful not to have a no from him before Pesach, because she may come to fulfill the condition later. So if she did not have any hana from him before Pesach, mi ikka bal yachal. So why is the Mishnah saying that if she ends up going to her father's house after Pesach, then she's going to be over bal yachal devare for the hana that she had from him before Pesach? But the hana that she had from him before Pesach, she didn't. According to Rav Yehuda said she should not have hana from him before Pesach. So why is the Mishnah saying that she's being over on bal yachal? Ela pshita des hani. So isn't the pshat on that Mishnah that before Pesach she had hana from her husband, and we weren't concerned that maybe later the Tanai will be fulfilled? So Alma, what do I see from this? Mishani, that she's allowed to have a no from her husband before Pesach, and we're not concerned that she's going to fulfill the condition later. It's you have to Rav Yehuda. So this refutes what Rav Yehuda said, that she should be careful not to fulfill not to have a no before, because she may come to fulfill the Tanai later. Says the Gemara over here as well, similar to the answer that it said before. Ki katani, when it said in the Mishnah that she's going to be over bal yachal devari, what it's saying is the e is hani. If she had a no from her husband, then areza bal yachal devari. Then he's going to be over on bal yachal devari. But it's not saying that he should. Adarabah. What the Mishnah is saying is in the Sefer, be careful not to allow your wife to have a no from you, because then if she's going to go after Pesach to her father's house, then you're going to be over on bal yachal devari. So Adarabah, it's saying exactly what Rav Yehuda said. Be careful not to allow your wife to have a no from you, because then if she's going to go to her father's house after Pesach, you will be over on bal yachal devari. Okay, the Gemara goes on. This is all a Mishnah later here in the Masechta Daf Nun Zayin. The next case over there in that Mishnah. Tanan, the Mishnah over there says, what happens if she says, or he says actually, he's the one making the neder here. He says, Sha'at nanesli adachag. Again, he's standing sometime between Sukkot and Pesach, sometime after Sukkot, and he says, I make a neder, Sha'at nanesli adachag. You're not allowed to have any hana from me until the following Sukkot. Im teilchi lebeis avicha ada Pesach. and the condition is, if you're going to go to your father's house until Pesach. So this is sort of the reverse of the neder, the way it said before. Before we said that he made a neder, she should not have anah from him until Pesach, and the condition was she should not go to her father's house until Sukkot. Here, the neder is that she should not have anah from him until the following Sukkot. And the condition is, if she goes to the father's house until Pesach. So now, holcha lefnei Pesach, if she went to the father's house before Pesach, so then asura b'hanase ad hachag. So then she'll be asked to have anah from him until the following Sukkot. But now the Mishnah says, this is a side point really. The Mishnah says, "Umuteres leilech achara Pesach." She's allowed to go to her father's house after Pesach. I mean, the condition was that she's not allowed to go to her father's house until Pesach. After Pesach, she's allowed to go to her father's house. The Ran explains that the Mishnah is clarifying. I would have thought maybe there's a gzeira midrabanon that she shouldn't confuse this, that she's not allowed to go to her father's house after Pesach as well. So the Mishnah says she's allowed to go to her father's house after Pesach. But what do I see here from this Mishnah? Holcha asura. If she went to her father's house, then it's asur. But loy holcha, if she did not go to her father's house, loy, then it's not asur for her to have anah from him. But according to Rav Yehuda, why isn't it asur for her to have anah from him? If Rav Yehuda says you have to be careful not to fulfill this neder because you may come to fulfill the Tanai later, she may end up going to the father's house before Pesach, and therefore it will become asur for her to have anah from him until Sukkot. So why is it saying that if she did not fulfill the condition, then there's no concern about the neder? Rav Yehuda says we're afraid that she may come to fulfill the condition. So Rava says, the truth is that even if she did not fulfill the Tanai and she did not go to her father's house until Pesach, it would still be asur. But like we said before, holcha, if she went to her father's house before Pesach, so then asura v'leike. So now that she fulfilled the condition, so now the Mishnah is saying that it's asur for her, and it's the neder already took effect, and you get malchus for this. Lo yolcha, if she did not fulfill the condition, she did not go to her father's house until Pesach, so then she still should not have hana from her husband, but then it's isura ba'alma. So then, like Rav Yehuda said, it's only a precaution because you may come to fulfill your tonight. Okay, this is the conclusion of the raya that it was bringing from this Mishnah later on Daf Nun Zayin. Now the Gemara brings from another brayse. Meisvei, the brayse says, Kikar zu alaya yom. Person says, this piece of bread I will not eat today. And the condition is, if I go to this destination tomorrow. This is basically identical to the case that Rav Yehuda was speaking about. What does it say there in that Mishnah? Ochal. So if you went and ate this piece of bread today, which is the neder, hareze beval yelech. So then make sure that you don't go to that place tomorrow, because then you're going to fulfill your condition, and the neder will be asur. So what do you see over here in this Mishnah? The Gemara is asking, it says over here in the Mishnah, ochal. Ochal means he ate. So it's mashma, the lashon of the Mishnah. We don't stop this person of eating the bread because he then may come to fulfill the condition tomorrow and go to that place. We allow him to eat it today. And then we tell him, tomorrow, be careful not to go there. According to Rav Yehuda, it works the other way around. We tell the person today, you're not allowed to eat this piece of bread today because you may come to go to that place tomorrow. So it didn't say the Mishnah, it's also for him to eat the piece of bread today. So the Gemara answers, Mi katani oichel. Does the Mishnah say an expression of oichel, which means lechatchila, you may go to eat the bread today, and then tomorrow you shouldn't go there? Ochal katani. The Mishnah is using a b'diavad expression. If he ate the piece of bread today, then you shouldn't go to that place tomorrow. Why is the Mishnah using the term b'diavad? Because it wants to say dichi ochal. If you went and ate it, hareza b'val yelech. So then you may not go to that place tomorrow. But in fact, like Rabbi Yehuda says, l'chatchila, he should not eat the piece of bread today because he may come to go to that place tomorrow, and then he'll retroactively be over on the Yisr. Then the Gemara continues in that brayse. It continues and says, holach. If the person ended up going into that place, harezeh b'val yachal. So then he's going to be over on the neder of bal yachal, bal yachal devarei. So the Gemara asks, Mahalach loi. The Mishnah does not use a different term. It doesn't say Mahalach loi that he should not, that Mahalach loi, that if he goes to that place tomorrow, that he's not over on the neder. It's not so clear what the Gemara is asking. But the Ran explains what the Gemara is saying is, if what Rav Yehuda says is true, that we tell the person, you may not eat the piece of bread today, so then the next case of the Braisa should have said that tomorrow, Mahalach, if you're going to go to that place, you're not going to be over in Bava Yachal Devari. Because we already told you today not to eat the piece of bread, so you didn't eat the piece of bread today. So then the next case of the Braisa should have been that tomorrow, if you go to that place, you're not going to be over on anything, because you didn't eat the piece of bread yesterday. That's what it should have said. The Kashi Rav Yehuda, so this is a question of Rav Yehuda. Amlach Rav Yehuda will answer you, you're right. Who adin the listening mahalach? Really, the Braisa should have used this term of mahalach, saying that tomorrow he may go wherever he wants, because already yesterday he did not eat the piece of bread. But I did diktani reisha achal. In the reisha, it has to use the term of achal, which is b'diyeved, delay misni le eichel. It can't say in the reisha a lashon of eichel, which is l'chatchila, that he could eat the piece of bread, because Rav Yehuda says that he may not eat the piece of bread today, only b'diyeved, if he ate it. Chatchili is not allowed to eat it. So Tani Seifa Halach, and the Seifa uses a similar term of halach also b'di'evet. Okay, that's the conclusion of this discussion. Benegay to this kind of a neder with a Tanai, a little bit complicated, but this is again a neder with a Tanai. That again, the point is, Rav Yehuda says you have to be careful not to eat it today, because you may come to be over on the Tanai tomorrow, and then retroactively over on the neder. Okay, one more piece. The Gemara goes back to what it said in the Mishnah. Person says, I make a neder that I am not going to have marriage relations with you, with his wife. So he's over on Bayachal Dvari, he may not have any relations with her. Says the Gemara, how could a person make such a neder in connection to his wife? He has the obligation in Atayre. This is one of the obligations of a husband to his wife. The pasuk says, he may not minimize of giving her, providing her food, her clothing, and also the marital relations. So how could he say that I'm not going to have marital relations with you? And says the Gemara, what he's saying is, Hanos Tashmi Sheikh Olai. He's not saying that it's going to be also for you to have anah from me. He can't take that away from her. But what he's saying is, I'm making a neder on myself, that my body will not have anah of you. So the neder takes effect on himself, and therefore now he does not want, he can't have the hana from her. So therefore now she will not be able to have any marriage relations with him. The Gemara brings a source for this. The Omer Rav Kahana. Rav Kahana said, and this is regarding a wife that says this neder. If she says Tashmishi Alecha, that I am asking you of having hana from married relations from me, so that she can't say that. We force her, or misham shasai, and she has married relations with her husband because she doesn't have the right to take away the hana from him. This is her obligation. The shibude mishabdes lay, because she's obligated to provide, and that her husband can have hana from her. But what's if she said the other way around? She's not answering her husband from her. She's answering herself, that I should not have the hana from you, from the husband. So then answer. Then it will be also for the husband to have anah from her. Why? Because now that for her it's asr, so the husband is not going to be allowed to have marriage relations with her to cause her to be over isra on herself. So then the neder will take effect. Each one, the husband may not asr himself on his wife, and she may not asr herself on him, but each one is allowed to asr themselves. So if you place the isra on yourself, then automatically the husband will not be allowed to have anah from his wife. And if she places the isra on herself, the husband will not be allowed to have anah from her, because then he's going to cause her to be over on her neder that she made on herself.